To all the non-believers, 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 non-believers. I'm making out.
What's good, y'all? This is Jay Varsity, and I know it's been a minute, but I am back with another episode of NBA Talk. This is episode 136, and I know it's been a while. I haven't posted a video since before the All-Star break. A lot of things have happened. The second half of the season, the final stretch of the regular season has already begun, and we already got some drama already when it comes to this NBA season. Big-time injuries, teams looking better, teams that people weren't expecting. So let's just get right into it. Oh, as you can see by the thumbnail, you can see that I'm gonna get into it first with the biggest shocker of them all: LeBron James injuring his ankle in the game against the Atlanta Hawks. I believe that was on Saturday. Yes, he got injured in the game on Saturday, and it was in the East Coast. The game was at 3:30 in the afternoon, and in LA it was at 12:30. So it was it was, to me, it's usually a weird time to know that the Lakers were playing that early, but you know you're gonna get those games where teams play extremely early, but because the West Coast, the times are are really messed up. But all in all, LeBron only played 11 minutes, only put up 10 points, and unfortunately he couldn't stay in the game, and he's determined to be out indefinitely. What a bad time to lose LeBron. That's what I gotta say. What a bad time to lose LeBron. Like that's a tough one. That's a really tough one. You already don't have AD. Marc Gasol is out of the lineup for situation protocols. That's what I'm calling it. And it's like you're trying to keep the team. You're trying to keep the team together, and it's like now you lose your second biggest piece aside from Anthony Davis, which is LeBron. Because without LeBron, the offense, I don't know what it's gonna look like. The Lakers are gonna have to make a huge step up in the trade deadline, because they solely cannot rely on the two of them. Well, hopefully, the X-rays came back negative, but when healthy, LeBron, we know what LeBron and AD can do. But that's just the thing. We need the Lakers to hang on while these two are out. So that's going to be the key. That is the question about the Los Angeles Lakers. Can they hang on without LeBron and AD? Because they're going to be out for quite a while, and we have no clue when AD is coming back. Another big injury shocker that is the Lamelo Ball has a fractured wrist. I know, fractured wrist, and he's determined to be out for the rest of the season. Lamelo Ball was already having a great season as is, but it's like that's kind of it's disappointing to know that that's how his rookie season is going to end, with a fractured wrist. Especially now with how Anthony Edwards is playing, because Anthony Edwards has just been putting on an absolute show since after All-Star break. Like, anybody caught a glimpse of when him and Karl Anthony Towns both put up 40? Like, that Anthony Edwards is gonna be a problem for the next for years to come. He's gonna be a problem. I don't know who told me that his jump shot was suspect, but you sir are looking very dumb. You're looking very dumb when you're criticizing Anthony Edwards. But yeah, the LaMelo Ball injury, obviously, he's what literally makes the Charlotte Hornets fun to watch. Yes, he has brought that kind of impact to the Charlotte Hornets. He's made that team fun to watch. And to know that he's going to be out the rest of the season is just, to me, I know that pretty much hurts hurts the Charlotte Hornets in terms of people who are going to who are going to go watch the games, or who's going to actually want to pay attention to the Hornets for the rest of the season, because honestly, I think I've watched more Charlotte Hornets highlights this season, well, Yeah, I've watched more Charlotte Hornets highlights this season than I've had in any other season than when Kemba was there. And I like Kemba Walker, but I did not watch Charlotte Hornets highlights as much as I did as soon as they got Lamelo Ball. Like they just became instantly fun to watch. But that's unfortunately the part of the game of basketball when having to deal with injuries, having to see players get hurt, and it affects the team's overall records and all that. So, unfortunately, we gotta live with that part of the game. What was a great sight to see was Blake Griffin's debut with the Brooklyn Nets. Yes, I never even covered that Blake Griffin is a Brooklyn Net, but at first I was a little, I was a little skeptical on Brooklyn getting Blake Griffin because you know how many star quality players are going to go to the Brooklyn Nets. But it it's all good. It's all good because the site that we got to see was Blake Griffin dunking and making an impact already on the floor. The first play he got was a block on Bradley Beal. I love how everybody's talking about the dunk, but then nobody's talking about that the first play he makes as soon as he gets on the floor is that he blocks Bradley Beal. Like, I couldn't. I still am wrapping my head that Blake Griffin is on the same team as James Harden, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Durant, and he's reunited with DeAndre Jordan. Obviously, we're not gonna get that peak athletic Blake Griffin like we saw in years past, but like he he's still a quality player. Like the Blake Griffin disrespect needs to stop. He's still a quality player. He was just playing for a team that was literally going nowhere. He was just literally playing for a Detroit team that was going nowhere. And to tell you the truth, who has motivation to play for a team that's literally going nowhere? So yeah, he made his debut against the Washington Wizards, and for some reason, these games with the Nets and the Wizards this year have been very entertaining. Like the games are close. The Wizards are not afraid to attack when it comes to Brooklyn. They're not afraid of Brooklyn. They just don't have the right personnel to keep up with the firepower of the Brooklyn Nets. But let me speak some facts. The Washington Wizards, they might not be as bad as we think because they they started out the season rough and they kept losing a ton of games, but when this group is healthy, they could be pretty damn dangerous. They could be pretty damn dangerous. And especially when you count in the aspect that they play in the Eastern Conference. They play in the Eastern Conference. Let these dudes get one more piece, and I'm telling you, let them get one more piece, or let them get a decent bench, and I can tell you, the Washington Wizards are could already be a top Eastern Conference team. Because as soon as they got everybody back and everybody healthy, they started taking over, and they even went on win streaks. They had the same impact that Miami had as soon as Jimmy Butler came back, and as soon as the entire rotation started coming back. They just started winning games. So we have to see what for the Washington Wizards where this team can go within next season, because obviously this season is considered a bust, but all is not lost, I would say, for Washington next year. As for the Brooklyn Nets, business as the Brooklyn Nets, business as usual. They closed out the game this time. They didn't give up the game like they did the last time I seen these two teams play. James Harden had a scary moment where it looked like he had a concussion, but luckily that wasn't the case, and he was able to finish the game. Seeing Blake Griffin dunk made the internet go viral. Like, the man just did a simple two-handed dunk. Like, he just reminded you, hey, my legs are not dead yet. It was who the hell wants to who wants to put on that much effort to dunk when you're playing for a team that's literally going nowhere. But yeah, like I said, the Brooklyn Nets, business as usual. They did what they had to do. Even though they took a tough loss to Orlando on Friday, that was a tough loss. But either way, they redeemed themselves in that aspect. And speaking of redeeming themselves, the Boston Celtics had a pretty rough week. You lose to the Cleveland Cavaliers, you lost to the Sacramento Kings in the same week. You got redemption by beating the Orlando Magic, but all in all, the Boston Celtics are just a mess. The Boston Celtics are just a flat out mess. And it's just, to me, after this season, I believe Danny Ainge's job should be in question. Because I can't emphasize this enough. You can't sit here and tell me you get all those draft picks years ago when you traded Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, and Jason Terry. You can't tell me you had all them draft picks years ago. Now I understand you turned them into Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, but you still had a ton of picks that you could have gotten a star with. You could have traded for a star. And you're not going to tell me that the price was too steep. I don't give a damn. If we're realistically speaking, the Boston Celtics should have Anthony Davis right now. The Boston Celtics should have had Kawhi Leonard. The Boston Celtics should have got Paul George. Like, they legit should have a superstar on their team. They legit should have a superstar on their team. I seriously don't understand why the Celtics were so stingy all these years. Like, they literally tried to finesse the league, and then it's coming back to bite them in the ass. It's literally coming back to bite them in the ass. And as much as I hate the Boston Celtics, it frustrates you as an NBA fan to know that they held back their potential at what was supposed to be. They were supposed to be one of the best teams in the NBA because they had Kyrie, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Marcus Morris, Terry Rozier. They had a deep roster in 2019. They had one of the deepest rosters in 2019, and they just couldn't make it work. And I still find myself clueless to this day on how they couldn't make that work. Like I understand Kyrie Irving wasn't the greatest leader. Jason Tatum was sort of feeling the superstardom, and he was taking a lot of tough mid-range shots. But still, it's like that was such a deep roster. You just find yourself confused. It's like, how? But anyway, the Boston Celtics, they've been having a rough season, and to me, this is a down year, very much down year for them, because compared to what we've seen in years past, I knew that Tristan Thompson signing was going to be their downfall because they gained no size whatsoever. Their biggest signing in the offseason should have been trying to get Miles Turner. They should have used some of those picks to get Miles Turner. And to me, it would have been worth it. But that's just my personal opinion. The Los Angeles Clippers. As we know, it's been an up and down year. And even Kawhi himself is saying, we are not consistent. We are not playing consistent basketball. And when your star player is saying that, you know you're not being consistent. Because they took losses to the New Orleans Pelicans, and they took a bad loss the other day last week to the Dallas Mavericks. Now, granted, they did beat the Charlotte Hornets, but that loss against Dallas, that was just bad, bro. They got beat. Like, they got beat physically. They got outshot. Like you don't usually see Dallas as a physical team. You don't usually see the Dallas Mavericks as a physical team. But when you got them beating you down on the defensive end, it's like whoa. Like you know there's somewhat of a problem. And Luka, I just have to put on a side note, Luka Doncic has just been on a absolute tear. I'm just gotta say right there. But back to the Clippers. The Clippers are sitting at 4th in the Western Conference. 4th in the Western Conference. This was a team that this time last year, people had them as the favorite to win the championship. 1 year later, we got the Utah Jazz sitting at number 1 and the Phoenix Suns sitting at number 2. Who would have thought a year later the two LA teams wouldn't be the 2 best teams in the Western Conference? But my real test this season is who's going to show up in playoff time, because we've seen that the Utah Jazz are somewhat struggling now when it comes to getting wins, and they take bad losses. The Utah Jazz, I believe, one time took a bad loss to the Washington Wizards. They got a close win against the Boston Celtics, and they just barely snuck away with a win against the Toronto Raptors. I think these games are starting to get to them. Do I think they'll maintain the number 1 seed? I don't know. I really don't know. I really can't say that they will, but if they do, it'll be by a hair. It'll be by a hair that they hold the number 1 seed. Like, Utah has got to be the most disrespected number 1 seed that I've ever seen, besides the 2015 Atlanta Hawks. I'm not even joking in that aspect. I'm not even joking at that point. But and the Phoenix Suns, oh my God, the impact of Chris Paul, the addition of Chris Paul, Jay Crowder, and all these guys, you could just see how much this Phoenix team is just so dangerous right now. They're dangerous. I could tell you right now, I could seriously tell you that Phoenix is 1 piece away from winning it all. Phoenix is, to me, 1 piece away from winning it all. Because to me, you need at least a decent 3 or just somewhat of a decent backup point guard. Because the Phoenix Suns, shooting wise, they could light you up from the 3-point line all damn day. They could light you, and then Devin Booker could literally light you up from anywhere. Chris Paul could do the same thing, and he's one of the best floor generals we have in the game. But all in all, the Phoenix Suns, oh my God, they just surprise. They're surprising and not surprising anybody at the same time. I don't know. We kind of thought, with the additions that the Phoenix Suns had, that we were going to finally see them in the postseason, but we didn't think they would be sitting in the second seed in the Western Conference. The Miami Heat took back-to-back L's to the Indiana Pacers. They took a bad one, and I would say both of these losses are bad in my book, because not only did you take a beating in the first game, you lost 137-109, but you lost a close overtime game where you lost by 3 points. And to me, I take these matchups when it comes to Miami. I pay attention to them very closely, especially when you play teams like Boston, Indiana, when you play teams like when you play teams like Brooklyn. When you lose close games like that, they low key frustrate me. Not the first game. Like I said, they took a beat down the first game. But to me, it's like, how do you lose the second game, to tell you the truth? Like, I understand Indiana, they're normally a tough-minded team. No win against Indiana is gonna be easy. Like, unless you're like an overly stacked team. But overall, I think the Indiana Pacers have just proven you gotta grind to win a game against them. But the Miami Heat, I don't believe there should have been an excuse on losing both games. You played these dudes twice in one weekend. How did you lose both games? Now, granted, I'm not an NBA player. I don't know what it's like to play a single second in the NBA. Like I said, this is just my opinion. It's just my opinion. I believe the Miami Heat are still a really good team. I'm not a big fan of the Trevor Ariza signing. I'm not a big fan of the the Trevor Ariza addition. I'm not a big fan of it because personally, to tell you the truth, I think Trevor Ariza is a bit washed. I think he's a bit washed, and I personally don't think that Miami needed another wing defender because I think Miami had enough wing defenders, and I understand they traded Myles Leonard, and he had his whole incident with the whole racial slur thing that he said on Twitch, but I don't think they should have used Myles Leonard as a trade to get Trevor Ariza, in my opinion. That's just me in my book. And then I'm hearing rumors that Miami's trying to go after Kyle Lowry, and it's like, oh my God, we my emphasis on the Miami Heat is, when are they gonna realize that they need a power forward? They need a damn power forward. They don't need another wing defender, and they don't need another guard. They need a power forward. Like, bro, I want Miami to take some time in the offseason, like later on in the future, and realize they need a damn power forward. Like they have a really deep team. They don't need so many damn wing defenders. I swear, if they sign any more wing defenders, I'm be like, yo, we might as well call ourselves Team Wing Defenders. Seriously. Because you got Jimmy Butler, you got Andre Iguodala, you got Trevor Ariza, oh my God, and then you have guys who will play defense. You got guys like Tyler Hero, even guys like Duncan Robinson will play defense. You got oh my God, I'm really messing up right now. To me, you have enough guys who will play on the wing, and they play enough defense. They just need a decent four. They need a decent four. To me that's all they need is a decent four. And I'm not talking about they need a superstar caliber power forward. No, a decent caliber power forward. That's all I'm asking for, because they're good at the center position. I'm just not a big fan of Kelly Olynyk being a starting power forward. Kelly Olynyk, to me, should be our backup center, or at least a backup power forward, if you want to put it that way. But the Miami Heat have made it work. But like I said, those back-to-back L's against Indiana, those hurt to me. So I hope Miami turns things around. I hope they do something at the trade deadline to get a power forward, and I hope they're not wasting all their time to try to get Kyle Lowry. I mentioned Luka Doncic earlier, but man, Luka freaking Doncic. Oh my God, Luka Doncic put on an absolute show against the Blazers. This man shot 8 for 9 from 3. It got to the point where the Portland Trail Blazers had to double team this man full court. That is some 2K logic right there. When you gotta double the man full court. Like, this man had already shot 8 for 8 from 3, and he was getting double teamed full court. I don't know who you decided to disrespect and leave wide open, because you had to have left somebody open to go double team Luka. Now I'm gonna be honest with you. I can't watch all these games because some of these games are on League Pass. But all I know is Luka Doncic has just been on an absolute tear. I saw this man literally take apart the Clippers by himself. Like, I saw this man destroy the Clippers the other day. Like, he was just hitting step back threes. To me, his step back three is so damn reliable. I've rarely seen him miss. I've rarely seen Luka Doncic miss that step back three of his. Like anytime I see that he's got an ISO and it's late in the shot clock and I see him take that step back, I'm like, that's money. I'm literally looking at that point and saying that that is money because he's just gotten so efficient with his 3-point shot lately that you gotta give Luka his credit now. This is why you can't listen to guys like Skip Bayless talking about that Luka Doncic is overrated and all that. No, Luka Doncic is a very skilled player. He just doesn't have that crazy athleticism. He is mostly based on skill. He's mostly based on skill. He has great footwork. He has great handles. His jump shot is insane. And when he gets going, when Luka Doncic is on fire, that's it. Good night. Good night, bro. Like that was an absolute ass whooping that the Dallas Mavericks gave the Portland Trailblazers. And Portland has been one of those teams that's been stuck in the middle, and they're literally being carried by Damian Lillard, and CJ McCollum recently just came back. But still, it's like you look at the Portland Trailblazers and you just wonder, what can they do to get over the hump? What can they do to get over the hump? Seriously, what can they do? And I don't know. To me, they've needed a three for whom they've needed a small forward for like the past 5 years. The past 5 years, the Portland Trailblazers have needed a small forward, and they have never answered. They've never fully filled in that position. That's just my opinion. They've never filled that position. Let's see what else I got. What else I got right here? But nah, like like I said in the beginning of this episode, that we're in that final stretch now, because now we got the whole play-in tournament aspect and everything. So the whole play-in tournament aspect and everything. So now teams are finally gonna make that push. We're gonna see a lot more competitive basketball from here on out, because we still got teams like the New Orleans Pelicans. We still got teams like the Memphis Grizzlies. We still got Golden State fighting to be in the playoffs. We got some still pretty decent and good teams fighting for playoff spots. And this final stretch, we're going to finally see what the real aspect of the play-in tournament is going to be like. Because we got a sample of it during the bubble, but now we're really going to see it we're going to finally really see it in play. Because now teams are really going to start fighting for wins to be in that play-in tournament and get that 8th seed. So yeah, this final stretch is going to be very, very interesting. And I forgot to mention the Milwaukee Bucks. The Milwaukee Bucks have won 6 in a row. They acquired P.J. Tucker in a trade after trading DJ Augustine and DJ Wilson and a second-round pick. To me, that's a steal if you're the Milwaukee Bucks. And so far, the Milwaukee Bucks have been under the radar, and even Giannis said it himself. He likes that. He likes that they're under the radar. People are not constantly on them, but at the same time, it's like At the same time, it's like, bro, they've won 6 in a row, and to me, the Milwaukee Bucks have brought back the defensive identity. So I'm happy for the Milwaukee Bucks in that aspect. The Philadelphia 76ers have been hanging on. They've been hanging on. Without Joel Embiid, and they they have a personal vendetta against the New York Knicks, because I've seen 2 great and close games between the New York Knicks and the Philadelphia 76ers, and Tobias Harris and Ben Simmons just don't want to lose to the Knicks. They just don't. They just don't want to lose to the Knicks. And last night was one of those great games where it was a great defensive battle, and it was just going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then it came down to a big controversial foul involving Julius Randle. Like, what is it with the New York Knicks and these controversial calls, and all these controversial calls have something to do with Julius Randle? Like, I don't know. I personally don't understand. Like, it these game like officials are getting way too involved in some of these games, and it's determining outcomes. And this is what people are trying to say. Can officials swallow their whistle just a little bit? Let teams get a little bit physical. Like, let these teams try to win basketball games. Don't determine the game in the last few seconds by calling a cheap foul or something like that. This is what fans and coaches and even executives are getting annoyed with. Like, I understand that officials have to take a lot when it comes to these players complaining, but you don't gotta call a tech or a foul for every little thing that they do. You take some pride in yourself as an official and swallow your whistle a little bit and tell them, play basketball and stop complaining. Like, I would not care. Like, me personally, I wouldn't care if a player is going off on me about a certain foul. If I clearly didn't see a foul, then believe in your heart that that it wasn't a foul. Believe in your heart that it wasn't a foul. Don't listen to people like me or executives trying to look, or coaching staffs that start screaming for fouls during games and then you don't call it. If you don't believe there was a foul, then there wasn't a foul. Swallow your whistle and have some pride, because we're getting sick and tired of all these sensitive, technical fouls, all because a man literally passed gas. Like, that's literally, I'm using Stephen A's line right there. You get a technical foul for passing gas at this point. Like, if you look at an official the wrong way, then you automatically get a tech. Dude, we're getting technical foul. They're getting technical fouls for celebrating after a dunk. Since when did we give technical fouls for celebrating after a dunk? Like, come on, bro. We're giving technical fouls for hanging on the rim for more than 2 seconds. They're getting technical fouls for celebrating after a dunk. They're getting technical fouls for celebrating after making shots at this point. Like, what in the hell is going on? What is happening to the game of basketball? Why are officials literally trying to ruin the game of basketball by taking away those little aspects? Like, they tried to take away a poster from Bam Adebayo yesterday. Like, Bam Adebayo got a mean poster, literally posterized Domantas Sabonis yesterday, and they tried to call it an offensive foul. And thank God for that review, because they overturned it. Because I am telling you right now, I will never forgive them. I will never forgive them for calling an offensive foul on Jamal Murray when he dunked on DJ Wilson. When he dunked on DJ Wilson in that game, in that Denver-Milwaukee game. That was one of the most disrespectful offensive fouls that they ever given, because that was one of the meanest poster dunks I've ever seen. That was one of the meanest posters I've ever seen, and they had the nerve to call an offensive foul. These are the kind of things that we are getting, that we as fans and people in the NBA are getting pissed off about. Don't take away some of the fun aspects about the NBA. Now, granted, we're not trying to say that we want to see full-blown fights happening, but my God, the NBA before 2010 was literally, people were tackling each other. Before 2010, and especially in the 90s, dudes were tackling each other. Like, the NBA looked like WWE. Now, at the same time, we do not want to see people getting tackled and all that stuff. But, jeez, ease up on the foul calls and ease up on the technical fouls and ease up on the ejections. Ease up on the ejections. Like, oh my goodness, bro. Take it easy on the ejections. You're ejecting star players for the dumbest reasons. Whew. I think I let out my frustration on the officials. I guess you know how I feel about the officials this season because they're really starting to annoy the hell out of me. But another thing we're gonna get into, guys, the Houston Rockets have officially lost 20 games in a row. 20 games in a row. The Oklahoma City Thunder have extended their losing streak to 20. Oh my God. Weren't we talking about the Houston Rockets literally like 2 months ago being one of the best defensive teams in basketball, and now these guys came and got a lick? Like, this is sad to watch. I'm at a loss because when you mention the Houston Rockets, you don't mention a team that has lost 20 games in a row. This team's clearly going through a rebuild, and this team's clearly going into rebuild mode. But it's just, wow, this is just sad to watch. That's all I can say. It's sad to watch. Anyway, I think I covered everything. I think I covered everything I need to talk about in today's episode. Yeah, that's about it. All right. Yeah, I'm taking a while to end this, so I'm taking a while to end this. I'm just gonna get right to the point. Like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell if you like basketball content. This is your boy J Varsity. I'm gonna try to be more consistent with these videos. I swear I will. This is your boy J Varsity, and I am out. Peace.
We got some non-believers out there.
Make believers out of non-believers. Make believers out the opposite.